got the cash in the bag, stadium packed. Born a rock star in this life, gonna live it up on the attack. Baby, I'm bad. I just wanna get caught up in this life. I'm crazy, I'm mad. Doing no cap. Only God wants you better go live it up. Cash in the bag, stadium packed. Baby, I'm bad.
Hi, welcome to my channel. So in today's video I'm going to show you how I made this two-piece outfit. My last video I drafted a classic tailored trousers block. I also have a basic butters block, so I used the two blocks to create this look. So it's that simple. Before we get right into drafting and sewing, please don't forget to subscribe and give me a thumbs up. So I used this material right there. I also traced my trousers block and my basic butters block pattern. As you can see, I traced the basic butters block pattern up to the waist. If you're yet to draft your blocks, I have videos on for block patterns, so I'm going to link the video in the description box and also on the screen for you to check that out. So I'm starting with the front trousers block. So I removed 1 inch from the waist down because I'll be adding band and also elastic. So the remaining inch is for the allowance, for the joining allowance. So I added pockets to this trouser. So for the pocket width I went in 5 inches, while for the pocket length I went down 10 inches. I squared that point out. I connected the 2 points. For the pocket opening, for the width I went in 1.5 inches, while for the length, as a pocket opening, I went down 6 inches. I connected the points, creating a slant. So in order for me to get my pocket out, what I did was to trace the pocket on a different pattern paper using my tracing wheel. So I folded I don't want 2 pieces for the pocket, so I folded the pattern paper and put it close to the line, the inside line of the pocket, and trace, so making it a 1-piece pocket because I don't want to join. I'm not lazy, but I just don't want to start joining pockets. After tracing the pockets, I used my pen to trace out the lines so they're visible enough for me to cut out on my fabric. So this is an easy sew. This is a beginner friendly, so it's so easy and straight to the point. There's nothing much to tweak on the foundation block pattern, and like I said, it's so good to have your foundation block pattern because every other design is a breeze from there. If you have your foundation block pattern, it's so easy to design it to create your desired look or your desired style, whatever you want to. Just get your foundation block pattern. I have videos on that, so check out the videos. So the next step is to square up my slash lines. There's no measurement for this. All I did was to draw down the slash lines up to the length of the pant and cut out my pattern. So I labeled my pattern in order to cut the slash line so I don't mix anyone up. So I also forgot to cut out the pocket slant. I did that later while cutting out my fabric. So for the back, I took out the 1 inch for the waist, which I did for the front, and also created the slash lines. So as you can see, it's easy peasy, straight to the point. So the next step is the top. I'm starting with the front of the top. So I went out 1 inch to give the joining allowance for the top. I also went down 1 inch, making it 17 inches for my top. So and also squared that out, connecting all points. So why for the neck, I went down 9 inches for my v-neck. It's not plunging, I don't want it plunging, so I just went down 9 inches and connected the neck to the v-neck point. The sleeve is attached to the cloth. It's a kimono sleeve. It's more like a kimono sleeve. So I extended the back width by 24 inches. My sleeve length is 24 inches. So I extended the back width by 24 inches and marked that. So from that point, I went down 1.5 inches to get my slash mark and connected that to the neck. The armhole depth, I went down 1.5 inches to give the ease for the sleeve. Why for the bottom of the sleeve, that's the wrist, I used my wrist measurement 7 inches and marked that because I'm going to be using an elastic, so I want it to be free. So my wrist circumference, that's what I used to determine how rough is it rough, the gathering I want for the wrist. I don't want too much gathering, I don't want it to be dramatic. For ease, I already have ease on the waist side. That's my that allowance. I didn't take that out, so I am tracing. So I just added 1/4 inch. I didn't add for the waist, it's just for the armhole depth and connected to the waist. So I want it to be free, but not too free, if you know what I mean. So I cut up my pattern piece. For the back is just same as the front, except for the neck and for the 1 inch center allowance for adding the drawstring. I hope I'm saying that. For the rope, yeah. So it's just went down the dress length 17 inches. My back width, that's my sleeve, extended it to 24 inches. The slant is 1.5 inches. Use my wrist measurement to determine the gathering I want for the wrist. And from the armhole depth, I went down 1.5 inches. Just what I did for the front, I did for the back, except for the neck, the v-neck, and the center joining allowance. As you can see, this is straight to the point. It's quite easy. This is beginner friendly. It's totally beginner friendly. So just get your basic bodice block pattern. So these are my pattern pieces. This fabric I got from my mom. I love the texture of the fabric. It's so machine friendly. So I use this large elastic. It's close to 2 inches, but not up to 2 inches. Then I use this tiny elastic for the sleeve. So I had to place my pattern piece that way because if I place it the other way around, it's not going to be enough to cut out the trousers. So it was like a managing situation here. I had to cut the back open and close it back. So this pocket slant, I had to cut that out before cutting on my fabric. I started with the front piece. I attached my pockets, the slant part, that's the opening of the pocket, together. That's the front, the front facing the front of the pocket facing the front of the trouser, and fold. I notched the center, but it's not necessary you notch the center, because if you align the pieces together, the center will definitely come out. If you want a deep pocket, you can go down more. If you want a wider pocket, you can extend it. It's just based on preference what you want for the pocket. I just use the standard measurements. So after sewing, I pressed. So this is how it looks. I didn't do a top stitch because I don't want a top stitch. I didn't do a top stitch. So, but if you want to do a top stitch, it's good. It's all good. So the next step is to sew the front crotch together. That's the front facing the front. Then a pin at the crotch side and sew. Same for the back piece too. After that, I put the pocket in place. I lined it in place because I'm going to sew the front and the back piece together on the crotch side and also on the sides. So I just pinned the pocket in place so I can attach my front and back piece together and sew the crotch of the front and back and the side of the front and back. So this is how it looks before going to sew. I pin the side and the crotch together and sew. And I've already put the pocket in place so it doesn't come out while sewing. I used my overlock machine first because I don't want any I don't want to leave any sewing allowance because it's a free trouser. So the next step is to attach the waistband before the elastic. So I just cut it, I placed it so I get the exact measurement of the waist and cut the excess and pin and sew. So I went ahead to pin the band around the waist, making sure that there's no space, there's no extra space, it's just enough for the elastic to insert the elastic, because I don't want any extra space because I'll be doing a top stitch, so I don't want any extra space. I've already inserted my elastic. So I have a video where I use elastic. In fact, majority of my video I use elastic a lot, so you would see where how you can insert elastic and do all this that I have done. So I used a hairpin which is smoother, it doesn't poke you. I lapped my elastic together and ran zigzag stitches, so twice, just to keep it firm. Okay, I just dragged in the elastic and closed the open space. So I did top stitches on it, just top stitches on it. And while sewing, I dragged the elastic just to keep the elasticity, because if you don't drag while sewing, it won't be stretchy. So this is it, just to give that design, the waist design. So it's not it's optional. Yeah, it's not compulsory. So this is almost the, okay, not the last step, but almost the last step. So the last step is to hem the bottom of the trouser. So for the top, yes, I folded the neck just like so. I didn't add any bias or anything. The fabric is so friendly. I love the texture. So you can fold the neck without adding bias. And so the v-neck, I just folded it, and so I did for the two front pieces. I also did the same thing for the neck, the back piece. I folded it twice, and so the fabric is really, I love the texture, it's so nice and sewing machine friendly. So I sewed the sides of the front and back piece together. I didn't show you that because I want to hasten the video. The front and back piece, the sides and the shoulders. So for the, I also folded the bottom and sewed the bottom of the top. So the next step is to join the front piece together, leaving the 1 inch seam allowance. So I just pinned, leaving my 1 inch seam allowance, and so I created a bias, that's for my rope. So this is, and I sewed it together. So the next step was to fold the 1 inch allowance there, enough to accommodate the rope. So you fold it, leaving space to insert the rope, not too much space, just enough space for the rope, no excess space. So I just folded it like this after overlocking the edges. So the next step was to insert my rope. I used the hairpin and gently insert the rope so it doesn't just pull out on the other side. So if it pulls out, you have to do it over and over and over again. So I did that for both sides, and I used the pin to hold the end so it doesn't pull out totally. And after doing that, I sewed the end there just to keep the rope intact. So this is all good. Next step was to sew the sleeve, the bottom of the sleeve, leaving enough space. I folded it twice, leaving enough space to insert my elastic. So the space has to be enough to insert the elastic. After sewing it round, I inserted the elastic, sewed the elastic close, and sewed the space close, and that is it. Easy peasy. I wore my outfit and ready to go. Okay, I didn't go anywhere, but I'm going somewhere, so I'm going to wear it. So thank you for watching. Please don't forget to subscribe and like this video if you enjoyed it. Thank you.